right, trying to figure this out. We're having an issue today. Something happened over on the YouTube for me. Oh. All right, I think we might have fixed it. Okay, all right, I think we fixed it. Good morning, Karen. I think we're back. All right. We had an issue today. I don't know what happened. But, yeah. All right. All right. Okay, cool. That's good. I think we're, I think we got screwed up on the Facebook end of things, but whatever. All right. Sorry I'm late. We were having an issue. All right. We're back. I think we fixed it. Hello, Renee. What's up, Karen? All right. We are already over 30. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Sorry I'm late. We were having some issues. I don't know what the hell was going on, but something got screwed up with the settings. And hopefully we're able to plow through this. I don't know. It looks like we're having some choppiness here. Yeah. All right. Well, welcome. We're going to plow through it. We're going to get through it the best we can. This really sucks that this is happening. But yeah, hopefully it all goes good. And we're here now. And it's good to see everybody. And here's what I want to talk about. Here's the topic that I have for today. The term Bernie bro. The term Bernie bro has always bothered me. Now, I won't say it offended me. I'm a comedian. I don't get offended, really. But it always bothers me for a number of reasons. First of all, it implies that nobody was a progressive before Bernie came along. It implies that, oh, everybody just needed Bernie to introduce them to all these ideas. Like no one knew. Nobody in the world was like, single-payer healthcare? That's a thing? Really? How did Bernie know about this? It must be because he has a brother in England who told him about it. How else can we exchange information across the seas? What, ending the wars? I never thought of that. I thought we would just keep having them indefinitely. Ending them? That's weird. Oh, we gotta do something about the environment? I thought we could just, I thought we could just have a 50-50. That would fix it. Right? I thought we could just... I've never heard of any of this before. Here's the thing. For me personally, and I know for a lot of people, I was a progressive before I knew who Bernie was. I had all of those views before I knew who Bernie was. What Bernie did was he said, hey, everybody, we're not as alone as we think we are. There's more of us. There's more of us than we realize. There's a lot of us. We can actually change shit. Guess what? And that's where, but then everybody was labeled a Bernie bro. You're a Bernie bro if you like Bernie. If you like Bernie introduced you to these ideas and you're a bro, that's why you want them. You don't want them because you know it would make our country better. You want it because, oh, you're a bro. You're just Bernie bro. The term Bernie bro was started by sycophants who are so blinded by their idol worship of politicians that they assume everybody else suffers from that same problem. They assume that for everybody else, it's about the individual. Like, for everybody, it's about the politician. The biggest Hillary supporter I've ever met in my life, when we would talk about policies, all they would revert back to is they were like, you should meet her. She's really great. And I'm like, that's not the point. I'm sure she's a nice person in person. I'm sure Hillary Clinton's very nice. I don't agree with any of her stances. I don't think she's a very trustworthy politician. She's gotten it wrong many, many times. And let's take a little history lesson here. Hopefully everything goes smoothly today here. Let's see if all my settings are still good. Oh, good. Sweet. All right. Where did this all start in the first place? Hey, Obama boys, back off already. This is going back in time to 2008. Donna Losia, a 29-year-old labor lawyer in Brooklyn, describes herself as a pretty big Obama supporter. She worked at Michelle Obama's public ally Chicago, met Barack a few times. She called him the most inspiring, amazing person, a different kind of politician. Of Hillary Clinton, I just think she's acted badly during this campaign. That's putting it lightly, if you remember the Hillary's campaign in 2008. So the reason we're not going to go through this entire article. It was, it's about 10 years old at this point, over 10 years old. But the point is that before there was Bernie Bros, there were Obama boys. And this can be traced back to the whole, if you don't support Hillary Clinton, it's because you're an Obama boy or a Bernie bro. It's because you just want your boys club. Meanwhile, you find out that's not true. You find, first of all, in 2016, more Bernie supporters voted for Hillary than Hillary supporters voted for Obama in 2008. The campaign between Bernie and Hillary, he still gets blamed for Hillary's loss. People still blame Bernie for Hillary losing, saying that he smeared her and this and that. When you really look at it, it was the softest, on his end, it was the softest campaign as far as personal attacks went that I've ever been cognizant of in my lifetime. When people were trying to smear Bernie as a racist, and by people, I mean the Hillary campaign, when they were trying to say Bernie's a racist, which is a bogus claim, he could have easily brought up some of the stuff that Hillary Clinton did in 2008 to Barack Obama. Like when she playfully hinted he might get assassinated. You guys remember that? Do you remember that in 2008? Look up the video. When she playfully hinted Obama might get shot, Hillary Clinton did that. That's what Hillary Clinton did. He could have easily brought that stuff up. He didn't. He actually did the total opposite. He said, hey, I'm sick of hearing about your damn emails. Let's talk about policies. So, you have to remember the history of this term. It goes back to when people preferred Obama over Hillary. Certainly it wasn't because of policy. And by the way, I wasn't on either team. I supported Kucinich in the primary. Because again, I was a progressive before I knew who Bernie was. I wanted single-payer health care before I knew who Bernie was. And I knew that Hillary Clinton back in the 90s was actually singing a pretty good tune about health care. Then the big pharma money started coming in, and she changed her tune. I didn't want her to be president because of that. I didn't want her to be president because she got Iraq wrong. This was straight off the heels of her getting Iraq wrong. And keep in mind, this is a candidate incapable of bringing her poll numbers up. She's incapable. She can't do it. Every time she speaks, people like her less. Because you look at her track record and you find out there's nothing genuine there. And in 2008, I didn't support her because she was pro-fracking, pro-war, not for single payer. And didn't give a hoot about the working class. And it was displayed between her actions and her husband's actions. In 2016, I didn't support her either for the exact same reasons. The exact same reasons. So, I don't want to harp about the past too much here, but Bernie Bro is trending on Twitter today, and it was trending yesterday, and it's being brought up again. And it's going to continue. I mean, there was a big smear brigade yesterday. It's going to continue. It's only going to increase. And you have to keep in mind where this term originated from. It's just another rehash of the Obama boys. You're an Obama boy. You like Obama over Hillary. It's because you're in Obama. It can't have anything to do because of policy. Obama, who in 2008 won in a landslide, had more young people come out for him than arguably any other campaign in history. 2008. Campaigned on a center-left platform, delivered a right-wing one. So this is just a lazy rehashing of a smear, and it's its foundation is within individuals who can't see past their idol worship of politicians. So they assume everybody has that same issue. They assume that nobody else looks at policy, looks at someone's ideas more than the individual. So whenever you hear Bernie, bro, just remember that's where it comes from. That's what it's rooted in. That's what it's about. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Mostly because I want to make sure we're still connected. All right, we are. Good. Sorry, we had some issues today. Let's see. Tom Brady says HRC and Trump share a lot of beliefs. They were friends. Jenna says, I didn't really understand single-payer healthcare versus for-profit insurance until Kucinich. I just knew that going to the doctor thing was for fancy people, not me. Some of you guys are calling out the two-party duopoly. Some of you guys are bringing up Crazy Bernie trending. I saw that too. I don't know what it's all about. I don't know what that's about, but I did see that as well, that Crazy Bernie is a trend on Twitter right now. So I'm... Balthazar says, remind me again on Barry Goldwater's platform. Exactly. Exactly. She was a Goldwater girl. That's what. All right. So Raul tells us Trump said Crazy Bernie is running. So I guess Trump called Bernie crazy, and that's where it. Trump tweeted about Crazy Bernie. Okay, so that's where that came from. Bernie should put it in his hat, man. Bernie should just use it. He's like, yeah, I'm crazy because I want. Bernie should just be like, hey, guess what? Yesterday I was talking about Medicare for all, about a Green New Deal, about living wages. You were talking about building more spaceships. Which one of us is crazy? Your only ideas for this country is building spaceships and a wall, Donald Trump. You're like if an 8-year-old was given keys to a Lamborghini. And I'm the crazy one? That's what Bernie could say. Oh, Lady says he did respond to the tweet. What did he say? What was his response to the tweet? Bernie did. All right. Well, some of you guys know the comeback. I haven't seen it, so share the comeback with us. Please let me. Oh, and Tim, you bring up something really kind of sad, but also something that I did want to mention today. We'll mention it at the end. We'll do a little music segment at the end because I did want to talk about that today. All right. So we got to know what was Bernie's response. Can anyone send it to me? Because I'm curious now. Now I want to know. Statutory says Bernie said eat a bag of dicks. I'm sure he didn't. But yeah, what did he say back? I'm curious. And then we'll move on to some other things. Balthazar says, I can't see any progressive winning the nomination. They still have to bypass Tom Perez. I can only see a third-party option. I think they're going to do everything they can to stop a progressive from getting through the primary. That's why I want to see Bernie and Tulsi team up, because I think that's the strongest foot we can have forward. And we need the strongest foot forward to be so big they can't stifle us, basically. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, let's move on. If anyone has that tweet, feel free to throw it in there, but I don't see it. So we're going to move on. Let's see. Let's talk about the Green New Deal for a minute to start off. Boom. So Durbin, after reading the Green New Deal, said, "What in the heck is this?" This is what elected officials say after reading a piece of policy, which is, by the way, their job. Their job, read policy. He reads the Green New Deal, says, "What in the heck is this?" This is serious feedback from a real elected official. All right. Senator Dick Durbin, who in this case is living up to his first name very well, on Wednesday declined to say if he will vote for the Green New Deal resolution, saying that after he read it, he asked the key sponsor of the legislation, "What in the heck is this?" I'm sure that wasn't in a condescending manner at all. At this point, I can't tell you, to be honest with you. I've read it and I've reread it, and I asked Ed Markey, what in the heck is this? He says it is an aspiration, you know. It's a resolution aspiration. Okay. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is expected to force a vote on the resolutions, which Republicans believe will provide fodder for 2020 elections by forcing a handful of Democratic presidential hopefuls to go on the record for or against the measure. The resolution, unveiled earlier this month by AOC and Markey, is non-binding but backs net zero greenhouse gas emissions in the United States while saying it would create millions of good high-wage jobs. 11 Democrats, including Markey and Bernie Sanders, have formally signed on to the resolution. Though the resolution has been championed by progressives in a coalition of outside groups, several Senate Democrats are keeping the measure at arm's length and have declined to say if they would vote for it or not. Durbin says it's long, but he agrees with the premise. Global warming is a threat to the planet. Well, that's how intellectually astute of Dick Durbin. That's incredible. It's really long. Saving the planet. You didn't want to read the whole thing. It's your fucking job. You're an elected official. It's too long. All bills are incredibly long. They're all long. They all have legalese in them. They all have jargon in them. You singled this one out. Why, Dick Durbin? Why? Oh, it's really long. I agree we have to save the planet, but it was a lot to read. I know that's my job. I know I'm an elected official. I get fantastic benefits, a lot of paid time off, more than pretty much anyone else working in this country. But shit, it's a lot to read. And cutting back on emissions, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Creating jobs, creating sustainable new infrastructure jobs. I can't imagine what that means. Here's what it means. We're going to look into alternative sources like solar, like wind. We're going to look into transportation solutions. That's what it means. It's not that complicated, Dick Durbin. Cutting back on greenhouse gas emissions. Not that complicated. You guys have watched me on this show where we look into actual science news and I'm just blown away by everything. And I'm like, isn't this cool? And I get it. Dick Durbin, though, too fucking long for him to read. He's an elected official. His job involves reading frickin' policy, and he's bitching about it. Dick Durbin just made it clear he doesn't want his job anymore. I mean, it's just unbelievable. No matter what is next to your name, Republican, Democrat, no matter what ideology you have, if you're bitching about reading legislation, then clearly you just don't want to do your job. So just step down then. Let somebody else take that job. I'm sure there's a progressive somewhere. A senator. This is what a senator says. When asked about a piece of legislation that is essential to saving the planet, and I'm not going to say that the Green New Deal bill, the Green New Deal bill is perfect. That's not the point here. The point is, it's the only piece of legislation out there to really do something about climate change. And this guy just says, "Oh, a lot to read. I don't want." And this is a Democrat doing this, by the way. This isn't from the party that's denying climate change is even a thing. This is from the party that's supposed to be doing something about it. And he's like, well, a lot of shit to read. Just a lot of shit. What is this? Whenever somebody scoffs and says, what is this? It means that they don't want to understand what you're bringing forward. They want to marginalize it and trivialize it. And that's what Dick Durbin's doing here. That's exactly what he's doing. It's not honest confusion. Because if it was, he would just say, some of the particulars in the bill I have a lot of questions on, and I look forward to working with my colleagues on this, because this is an essential issue. He didn't say that, though. He said, what the heck is this? Whenever somebody does something like that, they're not being constructive. You guys know this. The whole idea of being condescending does not go over anybody's head. And it doesn't go over Dick Durbin's head either. So this is not constructive criticism or constructive inquiry. This is a senator wanting to marginalize a piece of legislation, succeeding in doing so, and openly admitting he doesn't want his job. Good job, Dick Durbin. Good job. All right, so speaking of legislation that's out there, we're going to switch gears, go over to net neutrality for a little bit. And we talked last week about all the fake net neutrality bills that are out there. The Republicans have proposed some of their solutions and their compromises for net neutrality, which basically, if you read in between the red tape, is a giveaway to the internet service providers and is going to let them destroy net neutrality. Why? Because it doesn't designate the internet a Title II protection. When the internet is designated a Title II protection, that means it is a common carrier, like flowing water, like a telephone call, and net neutrality can be enforced. Without that Title II protection, net neutrality can't be enforced. Free press breaks it down for us. Title II is the best way to protect the internet, period. Last week, Free Press VP of Strategy and Senior Counsel Jessica Gonzalez testified in Congress about the importance of restoring real net neutrality protections, underline real net neutrality protections, and a strong legal framework for internet users' rights. During the hearing, 3 of the Republican representatives there, Bob Latta, Kathy McMorris Rogers, and Greg Walden, tried to upstage these arguments by introducing fake net neutrality bills. Now, we haven't seen the full text of these bills yet, but we know what they'll do because they're dusted off versions of earlier ISPs, internet service providers, written bills. So, and it goes on to say Title II is the right law. First off, Title II just makes sense. Congress designed this part of the Telecommunications Act for telecommunications services, which is the proper framework. So basically, all of these Republican bills are just a rehashing of what the internet service providers want. This is what AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, this is what they want. Why? Because there's clauses in there. It says, yeah, they can't have paid prioritization. It says, yeah, they can't create fast lanes and slow lane. But it designates the internet a Title I, which means no one can stop them from doing it anyway. It's just kind of like, yeah, we won't do it, but nothing's stopping them from doing it. Don't you think they would just go along with real net neutrality protections if they didn't plan on screwing with you? If they didn't plan to create fast lanes and slow lanes, if they didn't plan to have paid prioritizations? And by the way, what does paid prioritization mean? That means this show and all shows like it and all independent news and all independent media and all alternative media ain't going to last. It ain't going to be able to survive. That's what it means. And they might start price gouging you even more. You want to get Facebook and Twitter? You got to get the social package. They can make the internet into cable television 2.0. And why would they be against Title II designation if they don't plan on doing it? Because they do plan on doing it. So, friendly reminder, do not fall for the fake net neutrality bills. Now, here's something else that's very interesting. Did you know that for $300, anybody can find out exactly where you are? Let's check this out. This is from Fight for the Future. This is a cause they're working on. For $300, anyone can find out exactly where you are. For as little as $300, an investigative reporter was able to hire a bounty hunter to track down the exact location of his cell phone in real time. Here's the article that links to. So we'll hit that story real quick. I gave a bounty hunter $300, then he located our phone. T-Mobile, Sprint, and AT&T are selling access to their customers' location data, and that data is ending up in the hands of bounty hunters and others not authorized to possess it, letting them track most phones in the country. So this is a story. Nervously, I gave a bounty hunter a phone number. This is from Motherboard over at Vice. He had offered to geolocate a phone for me using a shady, overlooked service intended not for the cops, but for private individuals and businesses, armed with just the phone number and a few $100s. He said he could find the current location of most phones in the United States. The bounty hunter sent the number to his own contact, who would track the phone. The contact responded with a screenshot of Google Maps containing a blue circle indicating the phone's current location, approximate to a few hundred meters. The bounty hunter did all this without deploying a hacking tool or having any previous knowledge of the phone's whereabouts. Instead, the tracking tool relies on real-time location data sold to bounty hunters that ultimately originated from the telecommunications companies themselves, including T-Mobile, AT&T, and Sprint. This can be done now, and it's totally legal. They can sell your information of where your phone is located. AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, they can just sell that. $300. That's what. There's even a price tag for it. Hey, you want to get the private location information about anybody? $300. That's all it costs. Why are they able to do this? Well, let's go back to Fight for the Future, what they're fighting for. Okay, so that's what happened with the bounty hunter. This incredible disregard for personal information could put your identity, your finances, and even your safety in danger. Imagine what a stalker, an abusive ex, or anyone with an axe to grind might do with this sensitive data. And I'm sure that everybody in the world has had at least one of these. I'm sure all of us have had an abusive ex at some point. I'm sure some of us have had a stalker at some point. Anyone with an axe to grind. I'm sure all of us have had something like that in our lifetimes, right? Several senators have called for an investigation into this matter, but we all know that Ajit Pai and the telecom companies will be pushing hard to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, keep in mind, this used to be illegal. In 2016, the FCC adopted broadband piracy rules to give consumers increased choice, transparency, and security over their personal data. Rules such as these would have helped prevent cell phone companies from selling your real-time location, and these rules would have given consumers like you the ability to hold telecom companies accountable for committing dangerous privacy abuses. Well, what happened that changed that? In 2017, Congress made the outrageous decision to gut these important protections, allowing Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, and others to allow these companies to monitor, collect, store, and sell information about our online and mobile activity to the highest bidder. At that time, internet activists and tech reporters warned that cell phone companies and big telecoms will be able to track your movement, reveal your salary and purchasing patterns, and identify your religious beliefs. Congress ignored these warnings, repealed the broadband privacy rules anyway. We covered that on this show when it happened. So you can go to Fight for the Future. Go to actionnetwork.org. This petition is there. And you can lend your name to this petition. $300. That's all it takes. $300. That's all it takes for somebody to purchase, a bounty hunter or anyone else, an abusive ex, a stalker, someone with an axe to grind, a former boss, whatever. And they can just get all this information about you. And it's legal. It's legal because of protections, privacy protections, that were repealed by Congress in 2017. So that's Fight for the Future. Go to actionnetwork.org to lend your name to this petition. And now's a good time to give a shout out to our sponsors, ZT.com, ZHITEA.com, their T Kind of Rules, and Microbinge.com. Looking for an alternative social media platform? Check out Microbinge.com. I'm on it. It's a fun time. Microbinge.com. All right, guys. So we had to kind of rush through the episode today. I do apologize for that. I'm going to do one more thing, then I'm going to go to the chat, and we're going to have a music discussion. But, you know, every now and again, one of you guys finds just a kind of cool science science-esque, science-adjacent thing that I never knew about. And it just blows my mind. And I'm like, isn't this cool? And we talk about it on the show. And I really love doing those types of stories. I hope you guys enjoy them too. Here's one of those stories. Check this out. Do dolphins get high? Apparently, they do. I've never read this article before at all. You guys know the Get Your News On with Ron rules. I'm seeing all this for the first time. Sometimes I do lightly peruse something that you send me before the camera is on. In this case, I intentionally didn't at all because I was like, I just want my mind to be blown in real time. But apparently, dolphins are getting high. I find this very interesting. All right, let's go to this article. Dolphins seem to use toxic pufferfish to get high. Fortunately for them, I think pufferfish are pretty slow. So catching a buzz is easy for them. The dolphins expert deliberately handling of the terrorized pufferfish implies that this is not their first time at the hallucinogenic rodeo. Humans aren't the only creatures that suffer from substance abuse problems. Horses eat hallucinogenic weeds. Elephants get drunk on overripe fruit, and bighorn sheep love narcotic lichen. I never knew that. Monkeys' attraction to sugar-rich and ethanol-containing fruit, in fact, may explain our own attraction to alcohol. Some researchers think that. I've never heard that before. That is so cool. So monkeys, and that, you know, because alcohol is high sugar. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Like, that adds up. You know, like, but I never knew that. I never would have put that together myself in a million years. I never would have come up with that. I'm like, oh, the fact that they like this high sugar fruit, that probably led to us being like, what if we like ferment this shit and then it dehydrates us and we get a buzz on? Like, that all makes perfect sense. Now, my one critique of this article early on, they don't bring up cats get high off of catnip. Right, Lucy? Lucy, she looked up. I said her name. She looked up. Lucy, come here. Come here. She's not going to do it. She's not. This is her lounging time. Yeah. This is her lounging time, and she doesn't, like, she's totally not. She's like, it's my lounging time. But today is Pet Appreciation Day, according to Twitter. I think they just randomly make a Pet Appreciation Day whenever they want to. Why do they do that? Because they know they're suckers like me, who whenever there is one, they're like, I'm going to fall for it. Here's a selfie of me and the cat. I just love her so much. All right, let's get back to this, though. All right. Now dolphins may join that list. Footage from a new BBC documentary series, Spy in the Pod, reveals what and this isn't so new anymore. This is from 2013. Reveals what appears to be dolphins getting high off of pufferfish. Pufferfish produce a potent defensive chemical, which they eject when threatened. In small enough doses, however, the toxin seems to induce a trance-like state. So the dolphins were filmed gently playing with the puffer, passing it between each other for 20 to 30 minutes at a time. All right, so then, do you see how cool this is? Dolphins pass around a pufferfish the way we pass around a joint. Because you don't want to scare the pufferfish too much, just scare them a little bit, so they emit a little bit of the toxin that makes you high. And that's what dolphins do. Dude, pass that pufferfish, bro. I'm Flipper. This is awesome. This is so... Dolphins, do you ever wonder this? What if their language is way more freaking advanced than we realize? Do you ever think about that? Like, what if dolphins are actually way more advanced than we realize as far as... They do have a language. We've pretty much been able to, you know, like the stuff that people have studied on dolphins. And keep in mind, the ocean is still this vast mystery to us. There's still so much of the ocean we have not touched yet. We don't know what exactly goes on. You know what I mean? Like we honestly don't know. I mean, there's theories out there that we used to have more aquaculture in this country. That we not this. Let me back up there. That was a misspeak. In the United States, we used to all live in water. Did you hear about that? No, in the world, in humanity, in ancient civilizations, apparently there were more aquacultures than we realize, meaning humans that live primarily, yes, on the water. And people speculate, if that's actually true, that's where the myth of mermaids came from. There were actually people kind of living that way. Not living actually underwater, but having a very aquacentric culture. Spending most of their time in the water. And that's where the myth of the mermaid actually originated from. There's theories out there that speculate that. We don't know for sure, but there's theories out there. What if dolphins have a more advanced language than we realize? They are getting high, and they pass the pufferfish around like a joint. That's pretty advanced. It's like, hey, we know that this gives us pleasure, this makes us high, and we want to share it. Some animals, all right, let's see what else is to this. I hope you guys are as intrigued by this as I am. I really, because otherwise they're like, dude, he's talking about pufferfish or joints, apparently. That's what Ron's saying. I don't know what the fuck happened. We started talking about the election, and it moved on to getting high off of pufferfish. I guess that's just how the show works. So the dolphin expert, deliberate handling of the pufferfish, Pillay told the Daily News, implies that this is not their first time at the hallucinogenic rodeo. These dolphins like to get high on the reg. All right, and that's it. That's the entire article. Still cool. So check it out. Here's a picture of the dolphin. The dolphin's just kind of scaring that pufferfish. And then now, unfortunately, there's not a wide aerial view of this, so we can see like the Ariel, no pun intended, because Ariel is the Little Mermaid. But too bad we can't see this dolphin about to pass it around to the other dolphins like a joint. How freaking cool is that? That is beyond cool. Guys, let me know what you think. I'm going to go to the chat now about how cool this is. And also, Tim brought this up earlier. A couple other people echoed the sentiment. Kurt Cobain, if he was still with us, would be 52 years old today. Kurt Cobain. A lot of you guys already know I'm a huge Nirvana fan. We've talked about Nirvana a number of times on this show. Nirvana really catapulted me into pretty much everything else musically. Like, Nirvana was the first thing I ever discovered on my own, really. Well, actually, I didn't discover it on my own. My aunt, my mom's younger sister, gave me a cassette tape of Unplugged in New York. That was the first Nirvana I heard. It was Unplugged in New York. And it blew my freaking mind. I just loved that cassette. I had it on cassette, and I listened to it over and over again until I wore out the cassette. Like, I just completely wore it out. And then I decided, well, I need to hear more of this band. And so I got Nevermind on cassette. And then I thought, holy shit. The first time I heard Nevermind, I never looked back. I just thought, wow, holy shit. And I got into Nirvana big time. I was 10 years old. Kurt Cobain had just died. I got into Nirvana like right after Kurt Cobain died. Literally right after he died. But, you know, what are you going to do? So I discovered most of the music that I still to this day celebrate by looking at Kurt Cobain's t-shirts. Kurt Cobain would wear all these t-shirts. So that's how I discovered who Black Flag was. That's how I discovered who Flipper was. That's how I discovered Dinosaur Jr. And I still love all those bands, and that's how I later got into 80s hardcore. That's how I later got into actual, like 90s punk rock and skate punk and melodic punk rock, pretty much every genre of punk rock, which later led me to singer-songwriter, because that's what happens to punk rockers when you turn 26. You look into singer-songwriters. That led me to looking into Americana, satirical folk music. Now, all this also led me into getting really interested in politics, because punk rock talked about politics a lot. There you have it. And that's why I'm here. Boom. Boom. And you guys are bringing up some great people. Daniel Johnston. I've seen Daniel Johnston twice. Oh, and Inside Agitators, you're actually in Aberdeen, Washington. That's awesome. Aberdeen, Washington is where Kurt Cobain's from. The song Something in the Way, that's about a bridge in Aberdeen that folklore says Kurt Cobain used to live under that bridge. Now, some people say that's true. Some people say it wasn't. I guess we'll never know for sure. But allegedly, Kurt Cobain lived under that bridge in Aberdeen for a period of time. And it's still a bunch of... there's still, I believe, and Inside Agitators, maybe you can confirm this, there's still a bunch of like Kurt Cobain graffiti under there. I never got to Aberdeen. I used to live in Seattle. I lived in Seattle for a couple years, and I never got to Aberdeen, Washington. One day, me and a couple of my buddies who were also diehard Nirvana fans, we were going to take a road trip and just have a day trip out to Aberdeen. And we didn't go because we didn't realize how far it was. We were all comics, so we all had shows later that night. So we had to be back in Seattle by, like, you know, dinner time or whatever. And we thought Aberdeen was closer than it was. So we ended up just going over to Bremerton, which is just a nice little island town that's a ferry ride away from Seattle. So anyway. Failed abortion. What's your opinion on Soundgarden and Chris Cornell? I like Soundgarden. I'm not a huge Soundgarden guy compared to some of the other music. I got into I got into Nirvana, and then I grew into punk rock from there. Like, and some of the more, like, kind of grungy stuff from that era, even though grunge, all it is just like they took Black Sabbath, mixed it with punk, and, you know, started making some cool rock and roll music. But yeah, I never really got, I was not as into, I never got as into those other bands as much. But I do like Mudhoney, and I like, what are some other bands? And then I like some, like, I like Slater-Kinney. I like L7. I like a lot of the Riot Grrrl type stuff that was part of that era as well, kind of adjacent. All right. Balthazar, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Maybe he and all the rats on that sinking ship that is the Dems could have read the important bills if they weren't fundraising 6 to 8 hours a day. That's in reference to Dick Durbin. Good point. Title II is purely a Band-Aid on a femoral artery wound. Excuse me. That's hard to read. Man. Balthazar giving me tongue twisters. Municipal nested fiber optic is the solution. That's absolutely true. Yeah, again, municipal broadband is the permanent solution to the net neutrality issue. And it's the issue, that's the solution we've got to start going towards. But in the meantime, we need net neutrality. If we don't get net neutrality in the meantime, we'll lose the medium. And if we lose the medium, it's gone for good. So you don't have to pick between municipal broadband and net neutrality. You can want both of them. Net neutrality policy and legislation is essential. But fighting for municipal broadband as a permanent fix is essential too. And you got to do all of them. You can't do one and not the other. Marcus, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Hey, Ron, Mike Preisner of Eyes Left and Empire Files has criticism of Tulsi and her foreign policy, basically saying she's a war hawk. Any thoughts on it? I haven't seen that specifically. I would like to. I love Mike Preisner. I love his work. And, yeah, that's something about Tulsi that I think is something worth looking into. Some of the things she said on torture, some of the things she said in regards to war. But I do think largely she is a non-interventionist and, you know, wants to end the wars. I think largely that is what she is about. If that changes, I'll evolve with it. And I look forward to seeing what Mike has to say about it, because he's a pretty fair guy who does pretty thorough and good work in everything I've experienced. And again, as far as being anti-war goes, I think that Tulsi and Bernie are by far the best options we have for 2020. So I guess we'll see. Sagittary asks, what does Bernie feel about pufferfish? He thinks that all pufferfish should have health care, regardless of how high they make the dolphins. Prybite says she, and I assume they're referring to Tulsi, is for the least amount of war compared to the rest of the candidates. I agree with that. It's still early. Net neutrality is about halting the process of snuffing out small business. The oligarchy wants no competition, of course, and they want control of all the mediums. And Inside Agitators, that's really cool to hear that that's really cool to hear Aberdeen has a cool music scene. Liam, Ron, is there any chance you can convince Jimmy to play your CD leading up to the live show instead of the royalty-free music that is currently played? Actually, because of copyright issues, if you play anything copywritten, you could face issues, which I know that's so freaking weird because I'm the copyright holder and I'm sitting right there in the room and I want it to be played. But we actually, at one point during the live stream, they played 27 Since 33, one of my songs that's on my album, Agnostic Holiday, which you can get wherever you get albums. It's Agnostic Holiday by Ron Placone. They played it, and it wasn't a copyright strike, but it was kind of a notice that, like, hey, you played something copywritten. So, and I'm on a label too, so my label also filed that copyright as well. So even though I am the copyright owner, you know, there's not really a process to be like, oh no, this is a live stream I'm part of and I want it to be played. So if you play any copywritten music, even if it's by the person who's sitting right there, you run the risk of a strike. So that's why they don't play my stuff anymore. You know, when it happened and we got a notice, I was actually sitting in the room and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, but there is, at least to my knowledge, there's no process to be like, hey, I want this to be played, which is weird, but there isn't one. I guess unless you can actually prove you are the copyright holder yourself, which, you know, would be harder because it's Jimmy's stream, not my stream. So when that happened, we just decided, let's just not, you know, I was like, hey, I appreciate you guys playing it, but let's just not anymore. It's not worth getting the YouTube channel in trouble for. So yeah, it's funny you bring that up, but that actually did happen. You have to play the copyright-free stuff. So, but thank you for bringing that up. Guys, we are out of time, and thank you for your patience today. I'm sorry about the late start. I'm sorry about the tech issues. But thank you so much for being here. Some tour dates. I got to plug some tour dates, you guys. First of all, for everyone in LA, I will be headlining the Yoo-Hoo Room at Flappers this weekend, Friday and Saturday. If you want to come to that show, email me. Go to ronplacone.com and email me because I can get you on the guest list. So if you're in LA and if you want to come see me this weekend, there's shows at 7:30 and 9:30 on Friday and then 9:30 on Saturday. So 3 shows, Friday and Saturday. Let me know if you want to come. I'll get you on the guest list. Next Politics Night at the Dojo is February 27th. Again, drop me an email, and I will get you on the guest list for that. Email address, go to ronplacone.com. There's a contact button. Hit the contact and send me an email that way. ronplacone.com. You can email me right from there. If you can support this show on the sustainability end, patreon.com/ronplacone for a give what you can level. That means you can give any amount you're comfortable with. You can give $1 a month. You can give more than that. Whatever you're comfortable with. You get all kinds of exclusive content, including my album. You can download that album. Become a patron. My album's there. You can just download it right away. And you help keep this show on the air. You help me get new equipment. You help me grow this show. You help me stream more. That's patreon.com/ronplacone. Other tour dates, March. I'm coming to the Gulf. Me and Graham Elwood are coming to the Gulf. Lafayette, Louisiana. Pensacola, Florida. New Orleans, Louisiana. And Oxford, Mississippi. ronplacone.com for all those tickets. April, we're coming to Texas. May, we're coming to Salt Lake City and Boise. June, we're coming to the East Coast. We just confirmed Philadelphia and Boston. Already confirmed dates include New York City, New Haven, Connecticut, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland. Tickets for all those shows available at ronplacone.com. Let me go grab Lucy before we say goodbye because it is Pet Appreciation Day. Sorry, Lucy. Lounging has to be interrupted. I appreciate this gal. I appreciate this gal, everybody. 2 of you didn't want to wait for Lucy. 2 of you didn't. That hurts. That hurts. We lost 2 folks in between when I said I was going to get... But that's Lucy. I appreciate her. She doesn't like being held like this, but she's a good sport. I appreciate you, Lucy. Meow, become a patron. Thank you guys for being part of this. Thank you for bearing with me during the glitch we had today. You guys are the best. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, right here. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Thank you guys for being the best executive producers in the business.